I've been in the online space for over 8 years. And in that time frame, I've been in debt. I've lived with my in-laws. I've had launches that flopped. I've had a lot of struggles, but I've also created numerous seven-figure courses, seven-figure coaching programs, multiple six-figure launches, seven-figure launches. I've experienced a wide gamut of different highs and different lows. And what I want to do in this episode is break down the three main themes that I've used over and over and over again to be able to scale out all of our successes. I'm literally going to break down how I went from $40,000 in debt to a seven-figure business in 9 months. So if that's interesting to you, well, keep on listening. Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Today is going to be a fun episode. Why? Because we get to live my past. And there's a lot of lessons in my past. And one of the reasons why we are where we are today is because I've seen a lot of growth, and a lot of problems create a lot of growth. And one of the reasons why we've been able to help so many people is because I went through those problems. So what I want to do today is bring you through the journey of being $40,000 in debt and coming out of that and growing a seven-figure business. And we did it basically in 9 months. We went from $40,000 in debt to on pace to do seven figures. And that was a 9-month period. So just to be clear, we had done seven figures in sales within that 9 months. It doesn't mean all of it was collected, but like, for example, if we did a launch, and I'm trying to remember our numbers. Well, I do remember our numbers because we were $40,000 in debt. We started our service and our agency, and then we launched the Video 4X twice. And one of those launches did about $400,000 in sales, with about 200 of it being collected. So I'm counting that 400, even though we only collected 200 in that calculation. So just to be totally fair and upfront with you guys, it wasn't like we collected $1 million, but we had $1 million in sales, meaning that we had money coming in. It was recurring revenue that was coming in. People were on payment plans, all of that stuff. So to go from $40,000 in debt to that level, it took a lot. And there's three things. I'm actually going to give you four. I have a bonus item that I'm going to give you, but it took a lot. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of history leading up to this point of getting to the $40,000 in debt. And hopefully that lesson will be a great lesson for you guys as well. So when I started my business, we started it as the company called Sold with Video. And I was essentially selling like videos to real estate agents. So listing videos and SEO services and stuff like that. And that led me to learning YouTube marketing. So how do we rank videos? How do we SEO the videos? How do we drive traffic to YouTube videos? And that led me to meeting James Wedmore, because he was teaching the same thing. I was doing it a little bit differently. What I was doing was I was basically selling the service. So I did have some courses and stuff teaching video SEO, and so did James. So I guess we were kind of competitors, but what I was also doing was selling that as a service. So I would start going to local businesses and I would sell these SEO packages and stuff like that, and video marketing packages to local businesses. And James and I ended up partnering up, and I basically created a program called Local Video Academy that taught people how to go out and sell these, videos and video marketing services to local business owners. I built up a multiple six-figure business doing that. It was either 6 or multiple 6. I can't remember. I think we were doing 14 to 20 grand a month. And we were selling that. And that product did really well for a couple of years. And so I was kind of selling my own stuff. And I was selling, a video ranking course. I was selling Local Video Academy. I was selling some services on the side. And the way my business revenue went is, I think a couple of years into it, we were at like 120,000 a year. And then we went to 180,000 a year. Then the next year I went to 250,000. And then the year after that, I went to 500,000. So that was like if I'm doing my math right, it's like a 4 or 5 year journey to build a $500,000 a year business. And it was actually a much longer journey than that, but I'm counting the journey starting once I did my first 6 figures. It took me a lot of years to even get to 6 figures. So once we hit our first 6-figure year, it took me another 4 years or 5 years to get to $500,000. Well, during that journey of getting there, I was selling a lot of different things. I had partnered with James on that product. And by the way, included in that revenue, the 120, the 180, the 250, and the 5, includes my commissions from Local Video Academy. Okay, so I was selling my own stuff. I had commissions coming in from Local Video Academy. I had a service going on. So including my commissions from Local Video Academy, that's basically what I was doing. And around that year where we hit $500,000 in revenue, I was basically selling Local Video Academy. I think James and I had parted ways because he didn't want to do it anymore. And I was kind of selling it on my own, just here and there. It wasn't really my main focus. I was selling my own video marketing course, and I was helping another person. So I'd partnered with someone else in selling their program. And with everything all said and done, I think it was end of 2017, we'd done about $500,000 in revenue. I had to pay commissions to the person I was partnered with. And so a lot of that money, that $500,000, was gone. And most of where I was making my money at that time was through my own courses. When I was teaching people YouTube, I was teaching people Facebook ads. I had a service at the time with 1 or 2 clients, but it was just scattered. It was just so many different things. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make, is that they focus on way too many things. And so by the time expenses were paid, ad spend, the commission payouts, and then just money to survive on, I really had nothing left over. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy for those of you who are like, I just want to make $500,000 a year. That would be the dream. That might sound a little bit crazy. Like, how do you go through that much money? Well, the commissions to the business partner were actually a huge piece of that. Number one. Number two, there was a decent amount of ad spend. And then I'm also the sole provider of my family, and I had 2 kids at the time. And so that's also really expensive as well. And then by the time taxes hit and all that stuff, like, there really wasn't anything left over. So, like taxes, commission payouts, ad spend, living expenses, like virtual assistants, stuff like that. Nothing was really left over, and I hated what I was doing. And I think this is the trap. Like, if I was to start a business all over from scratch, I would sell one freaking thing. I would figure out what is one problem that I can solve, what's one problem people are having right now, and how do I create an offer or a solution for that one thing. That way you put all of your marketing efforts into one thing. You put all your marketing efforts into one program. You put all of your marketing efforts and your team into one thing instead of scattered efforts. So I was having like 30% efforts in like 5 different things. I was busy all the time. My work-life balance was really crappy. I had nothing left over at the end of the day. And I know there's a lot of people that are stuck in that trap right now. And if you're not, you might be one day. And I think that trap will hit you usually around $250,000 to $500,000 a year. And the reason why is because people will hustle and work really hard to get to their first 6 figures. And that 6 figures is generated through hustle and hard work and a bunch of different products. And then you just try to do more of that. You try to do more of like the pushing, the selling, the bigger launches, but you're at the end of the day, you still have your hands in everything. And so when you scale something that your hands are in everything, the problem just gets worse. It doesn't actually get better. So that's why we have to focus on systems and processes and stuff like that. Luckily for me, James Wedmore and I remain friends after Local Video Academy, and we're best friends today. And he was a great mentor for me. So he's able to help me systemize my business and bring in processes and help me scale. But right around that mark in 2017, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the business. I resented things the students were asking me, And anytime you resent your students for asking you a question, you know something is wrong. Like that shouldn't be happening. So I decided I'm not going to do this anymore. And I stopped selling everything. And I focused on what is it that I want to do. And it took me 3 months to figure that out. So I had 3 months of no revenue, 3 months of expenses still coming in. And then I also got hit with a $10,000 tax bill. And within 3 months, I was about $40,000 in debt, $30,000 in credit card debt, about $10,000 in tax debt. But what I did, and I did a whole episode on how I got out of that, how switching my mindset really helped me. And you guys can go listen to that episode. I will tell you right now, one of the biggest things that helped was just realizing that we've been conditioned to think debt is bad. But as long as you make your minimum payments, you're going to be totally fine. And you can also consolidate your credit card debt into a loan or something with a smaller interest rates. There's so many things you can do. So if you find yourself in that spot, don't worry. There's a lot you can do, and go listen. I would go listen to that episode of our podcast. But there was something that I had with me, which was I knew there was something else that I wanted to do. I wanted to just get rid of everything and do one thing that I was really passionate about. I sat in silence for about 3 months. And finally, the idea hit me. I was sitting in my office. The idea hit me. And I went and wrote it down on the board. And I came up with a methodology called the Video Forex Effect. And I knew this was it. I could feel it in my bones. I knew like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I want to do. Okay. So I said, I knew this was like, this is the thing that is going to save me. This is the thing that's going to be our next business. And that leads me to the very first thing that I had to do. Okay. So this is one thing that I've had to do over and over and over and over and over again. And that's it's called the be, do, have model, or walking off the cliff and hoping the net appears. So what ended up happening at that moment was that I know I needed help. And that was the biggest problem, was that I'm not organized. I have 1.5 million things going on. And what starts to happen, for those of you who have gotten to about 6 or multi-6 figures, you're probably under $500,000 a year. I know you've experienced this, where you know your stuff really well. You have time to focus on content. You have time to really like master your messaging, and you put it out there. And what that does is it causes growth. But then when you grow, you're now pulled into 1 million things. You're pulled into servicing the clients. You're pulled into the marketing. You're pulled into running of the ads. You're pulled into the fulfillment. And what happens is the growth takes you away from the silence, or the thing that actually caused the growth in the first place, which means that when you get to a place where you experience growth, there's something there causing the growth. In most cases, it's you being in your zone of genius. When the growth happens, the growth will pull you away from your zone of genius and pull you into other things. It's your job to set up the systems and the processes and bring in the right people to handle the growth so that you can remain in the zone of genius, or in the silence, or have time to yourself to refocus back on what's going to grow the business again. Remember, your IP, your intellectual property, your messaging, your solution is the thing that is what people are coming to you for. So what the be, do, have model is, and I learned this from Jim Fortin, another mentor of mine, is that what most people do is they say, okay, I know I need the help. I will hire the help when I have enough money. Once I have enough money, I'll hire the help. And then once I hire the help, then I'll grow. That's the have, do, be model. Once I have the money, then I'll do the thing I know I need to do. And once I'm able to do that, then I will be the successful business owner. But it's actually opposite. We need to be the successful business owner first. And once we do that, then it allows us to do the things that actually cause us to have the results we want. So instead of looking at it as, once I have the money, then I will do the thing like hiring people, which will allow me to have the $1 million business, or be the $1 million business owner. Instead, what we want to say is, I'm going to be the $1 million business owner now. What would they do? They would hire that person. Okay, now I'm going to hire that person. Now I just took an action, and that action is going to help me get the result that I want. Okay, so basically what this means is we don't live by our circumstances. You have to understand that actions produce results. Actions of a broke business owner, or a stuck business owner, or a plateaued business owner cause a stuck, plateaued, and broke business. Actions of $1 million business owner produce $1 million business. It's that simple. If $1 million business owner is spending money on Facebook ads, guess what you need to do? You need to spend money on Facebook ads. If $1 million business owner is hiring someone, then you know what you need to do? You need to hire someone. So look at your business and figure out what is it that I need to do and then make it happen. It's as simple as that. And most people just won't do that. But that's what I had to do. And I had to move forward with fear. And I'm not telling you to be fearless. We're always going to have fear. That's fine. You have to be courageous. And that's what I did. I lived the be, do, have model. I was courageous and I moved forward with the fear. And what I did is I knew I needed to hire someone. I know I needed the help because what I was about to do was I was about to launch a service, a coaching program, and a course all at the same time. It was my methodology called the Video Forex Effect. I was launching it 3 different ways: a service, a course, and a program. I needed to hire someone a year before I actually did it. And now I was totally going to have to hire someone because now I'm taking on even bigger projects than what I was doing before. So I went out and I hired Taylor. She was a recommendation from my brother, as one of my brother's friends. Hired her, and I didn't know how I was going to pay her. I think I had maybe one client at the time paying us a couple $1,000s a month. I also had an office at the time. I had rent. I was still, taking care of my family. I was debt. I had a tax bill. And I was just really relying on the fact that we were going to make this work. I just knew it in my bones. And so we hired Taylor. I think I went even more into debt a little bit to be able to pay her. But here's the thing I want you guys to realize is that most people get into this online space because they think it's going to be easy. And I actually think it's going to be it is one of the hardest businesses to get into. Here's the reason why. You have 3 things that are against you. Number 1 is that you have to generate your own traffic. It's not like you're starting a local business like a coffee shop. You go into a busy shopping center, you put up a sign that says coffee and people come in. You have to generate the traffic. Like you literally have to just put stuff out there and hope that people see it and come in. Number 2, the second thing that's against you is then you have to convert that audience. If you're a coffee shop, you plug down into a high traffic shopping center and you put the sign up that says coffee. You don't have to generate traffic because they're already there in the shopping center, and you don't have to convert them because they see the sign coffee and they come in and already wanting a coffee. You don't have to convince them to buy anything. With an online business, you have to do both of those. It's difficult, especially if you don't know what you're doing. It's a little easier for me now because we've done it for so long, so I know how to do it really well. But to start off without any experience, it's a tough thing to do. But here's the other thing that makes an online business really hard, is that it's so easy to start. And you might be looking at that going Brandon, what do you mean? Why is that hard? It's great. We don't have to invest any money. We can just start putting out content. We don't have to buy any inventory. And yeah, on the surface level, that makes it look really freaking easy because you don't have to invest anything. But the reason that it's so hard and reason why this actually hurts so many people is because you have nothing to lose if it doesn't work out. If you took out a loan of $100,000 and you started a coffee shop, you know what you're going to do when things get hard? You're going to do everything you freaking can to make sure that coffee shop runs. You know what happens if your business is on the decline and you have a $100,000 loan and you put all this time and effort and your life savings into a local business? You're going to walk door to door and hand out flyers. You're going to do whatever it freaking takes to keep that business alive. And there are a ton of online business owners who are not doing whatever it takes to grow their business. And then they sit there and whine and complain about it. Why isn't it growing? It's because you're not doing everything that you possibly can because you're letting fear control you. You're too afraid of what people are going to think. And quite frankly, you have not put enough into the business to really care about it enough to go all out. When I was growing my business, my family depended on me for money. I had no options. I couldn't go get a job. I didn't have a college degree. I literally had to walk door to door selling videos because I had to. I didn't have the comfort of having a savings account. I didn't have the comfort of anything. It was do or die. And this is what the be, do, have model is it forced me to start being the successful business owner. I had to go do things that were scary. I had to go do things that were uncomfortable. I didn't have the luxury of sitting around. And there are a lot of people that have the luxury of sitting around because they still have a job that's paying the bills, because they haven't actually quit to pursue this thing that they want to go after. Maybe it's just a side hustle right now and they haven't been able to go all in. But this be, do, have model makes you look at your business really seriously. The be, do, have model I have seen help people build business after business after business. If you want to be successful, you need to do the things that successful people do. Otherwise, you will always run into a wall. I have never found someone become successful that hasn't lived the be, do, have model. This might be a little harsh. It might be a slap across some of your guys' faces, guys and gals' faces. And this is my tough love. For all of our students you guys know that I am famous, not famous, but I have an infamous tough love that I like to give the students when they need it. And this is one of those moments. The other thing that I did is I stopped selling what I didn't like. I looked at this and said, like, look, every single person that I see that has a 7-8 figure business, they all love what they're selling. I don't love talking about Facebook ads. I don't love talking about YouTube. I need to move into alignment. I need to move into what I really am here to do in this moment. My purpose was changing. What I also did was sit in silence. I took the time to not worry about the debt, not worry about putting things out there, to actually get quiet my mind, not worry, not go all over the place, not panic, and to sit silent, to let the idea come to me. And what I started doing as well is I started observing other people's marketing. And I would read people's marketing and consume people's marketing. And I would look at how their marketing made me feel. Did it make me feel like I should listen to them? Did it make me feel like I wanted to opt in? Did it make me feel like they were talking directly to me? And I started looking at why. What are they doing that makes me feel like I need to opt in? What are they saying that makes me feel like they're talking to me? This is how I've uncovered so much about messaging, is I just looked at what are people doing, saying, and how are they marketing, and what's their communication like, and how does it make me feel, and why does it make me feel that way? Again, this is all the be, do, have model. I started looking at what successful people did. So I hired Taylor, even though I didn't think I could afford it, which was funny because hiring Taylor is what allowed me to be able to afford hiring Taylor. Right? That's how the be, do, have model usually works, is that most people look at it and go like, I don't have enough money for this. But what's funny is the action they take is what is going to allow them to be able to afford it in most cases. Okay. So that's number one. Number one is living the be, do, have model. The second thing I started to do was I started to look at problems that I could solve instead of looking at the benefits. When I started observing other people's marketing, I started to realize one of the reasons that I would feel compelled, or I felt like I needed to work with someone, was because they very accurately and specifically were describing the problems I was experiencing. They weren't talking about the benefits. And what I did is I came up with a unique solution to fix that problem. And I think a lot of people do this backwards. I think what a lot of people do is they go, here's what my skill is. I'm going to create a course and a program around that skill. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the benefits you're going to get when you get into my course and program. I did the exact opposite. I looked at what problem people were experiencing that I could solve and what is a unique solution that solves that problem. It may not seem like a big deal, but this can shift everything for you. And that's what I did. I understood video and I liked video. And that's what the Video Forex was a program to help people incorporate video into their business. I started to see that what a lot of people were doing to get video working inside their business or to start putting out content and video. Like 5 years ago, video wasn't anything close to what it was today. And so a lot of like 7-figure and 6-figure business owners were trying to use video, but what they would do is they would hire a video editor to solve this video problem inside their business. And I realized that actually created more problems for the 6- and 7-figure entrepreneur, because when they hired an editor, now they needed to tell the editor here's what we're going to film. So now the CEO now had to come up with content topics. The CEO had to script all these videos. Then the video editor doesn't know marketing. So the video editor doesn't know how to market these videos. They don't know how to post them online. They don't know how to put them on platforms. They don't know how to SEO the videos. They don't know how to turn these into ads. They don't know how to do any of that stuff. So what happened was when you hire a video editor to start putting video in your content, it actually created 10 times more problems for the CEO of the company. And I started to see that as a problem. So I came up with Video 4X Effect. And Video 4X Effect solved that problem. So what the Video 4X Effect did was it trains you, this is how it originally started, to get video working inside of your business. And basically what it did was it had 4 pillars that you needed to focus on to create effective videos, to streamline effective videos, and to post it. So our strategy, our pillars were basically how to streamline video. So how to like outsource it, the workflows, all of that stuff. How you can like film your content and then just put it through a system and all the video comes out perfect. It came with a posting strategy. So now there's all this documentation and processes of how to post it on multiple platforms, get it working together, how to use throughplay campaigns. It talked about how to script the videos, how to find the topics. And basically what we did was we taught people, how to have a creative director inside of their business. So we would take people's video editors or someone on their team and turn them into a creative director where they said, okay, here's the content we're going to create. Here's all the scripts. Here's the posting strategy. I'm going to make sure it gets posted. Here's our workflows. And basically what this solution did was it just allowed the CEO to be able to show up on film day with their content ready to go and then when they leave that day, the team has a system and a process to follow to get it all edited, all created, all posted, and they can film 6 months of content in basically 3 days. And all I started to do to scale this, so we started to, once I hired Taylor, we were still $40,000 in debt, but we quickly came out of that because I started marketing this. And the way I started marketing this was with Facebook ads. I started creating Facebook ads that said, are you experiencing this problem? You want to get video working in your business? Did you hire a video editor? I bet you're experiencing this problem. Why? Because the video editor doesn't know this. They don't know this. They don't know that, blah, 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 blah. And I ran those ads and I ran that content to video editors. And I also ran it to business owners, digital business owners. And the reason why I ran it to video editors was to create controversy on my content. I literally wanted haters. I wanted engagement. And I wanted the business owners to see how stuck video editors were in their ways. And it blew up. This is how we got Caitlin Batcher as a client. And once Caitlin had it, then everyone was seeing her content. Then it just spread like wildfire. Then we got, Mel Abraham wanted it. Stacey Tuschel wanted it. We just client after client after client after client started coming in, and they're all on $5,000 and $10,000 a month retainers. Now, what was also great about this is it was also a no-brainer offer, because we would train one person on your team to handle all of it. If you were to do this differently without us, you would have had to hire a video editor. You would have had to hire a social media manager. You would have had to hire a copywriter. You would have had to hire a Facebook ads manager. You'd have to hire 4 people. But for $5,000 or $10,000 a month, you could hire one person and we would train them for you. Okay, so that's what we did. Or we would just do it for you. So we would literally just do it all for you for the $5,000 to $10,000 a month retainer. So a lot of 7-figure business owners started signing up with us. They started signing up with us because instead of hiring and having to manage 4 people, they could just pay one company to handle all for them for $5,000. The payroll alone would have been more than $5,000 a month, and they would have had to manage it all, but they didn't have to with us. So we started to get on some clients, 5 clients, and we were making, $25,000, $30,000 a month. So we had some revenue coming in. Then we decided to launch it as a coaching program. So for those of you who didn't want to sign up for the service, great, that's fine. Have one of your employees go through our coaching program. We will turn them into your creative director. And that did really well. I think we sent out one email or a couple of emails and just announced it. And we had, I think we made it like $40,000 people signing up for this coaching program. And it wasn't created. It wasn't even created at all. I said it's a 6 or an 8-week workshop where we're going to turn your employee into a creative director. Every week there's going to be training plus homework. And I just created it over the next 8 weeks. And then we offered it to the, 0 to about $250,000 a year business as a course. Here's how you can streamline video and all of that stuff. So we had a course, a coaching program, and a service. It was just Taylor and I. This was a lot of work, and we did it. We were able to pull ourselves out of the debt. We quickly started hiring more people, and I had to go back into the be, do, have model because we had money coming in. I was slowly paying off the debt, but now my expenses were going back up. So we still weren't making a huge amount of profit, and any profit I had was going to paying off the debt. But I still had to live the be, do, have. What would the $1 million business owner do? They would hire people. So we had to go through learning how to hire. I had to go through a hiring process. I had to go through how to manage people. I had to go through how to become a leader. I had to go through how do we set up the systems and processes? There's so much stuff that I had to learn, and we did it in a very fast amount of time. But here's why we grew so fast is because I marketed the heck out of it. It was just ads, constant social media. It was like stories all the time. We were documenting what we were doing. We were documenting behind the scenes. We marketed the heck out of it. But I had one angle, I had one solution, and I had one presentation. And I want to key in on one presentation because this is something I learned from Business by Design and something I learned from James Wedmore, is that we usually want to start with one thing. We want to sell it before it's ready. And that's what we did. I sold the service before I fully knew what it was. I sold the coaching program before it was created. And I was able to do that because I had one message, one angle, one presentation. In fact, I'm going to teach you guys, we have a workshop coming up, depending on when you're listening to this, teaching you how to create a persuasive webinar. And we probably have some ads running during this podcast to give you the URL to all of that stuff. But I really want you to pay attention to the persuasive webinar because one presentation, one angle with one service can literally take you from $40,000 in debt to a 7-figure business in under a year. Now, granted, I had the experience of selling and courses and programs already, but still, we had negative money in the bank. Like, if I was broke at zero, I would have been better off than where I was. And it took one presentation and one ad to one solution. I had multiple offers, but one solution. The solution was the Video 4X methodology. We sold it on 3 different levels. And basically what I was doing was I was raising awareness to online business owners about problems they were having, and they didn't know they were either having it, they didn't know they were going to have it, or they didn't know why it was happening. And I raised their awareness to here's what you're doing, here's what you're trying to accomplish, here's the problems that exist, here's why they exist. And people's minds were blown. It was like wildfire. Now, as you guys know, the Video 4X turned into the New Generation Mastery, and it's a messaging program now. We don't teach people how to get video working inside their business because we evolved to something else. But that's what I was doing. Again, just to recap, the first 2 things was, number 1, living the be, do, have model. Number 2 is I focused on problems and provided a unique solution, a unique methodology. And I very rarely talked about benefits, or if I did talk about benefits, it was at the tail end of our marketing. I talked about here's the problem, here's why it's happening, here is a very unique way on how it can get solved. And it blew up. Now, I'm going to tread lightly here because, and I want to be very clear on this. The third thing that I did was I focused on a mastery of my craft. And I want to tread lightly here because there are a lot of, you're going to hear advice on both sides. You're going to hear people telling you not to work hard in your business and we shouldn't be hustling. And you're going to hear people tell you that you need to work really hard and you need to hustle. And both of them are true. If you think that you're going to start a business and you have no experience in growing this business and you're not a master of your craft and you think you're just going to come in, put in the minimal amount of effort and blow up your business, the chances of that happening are very slim. You are likely going to have to work hard. You're likely going to have to take risks. You're likely going to have to live the be, do, have model. You're likely going to have to walk off the cliff and hope the net appears. You're likely going to have sleepless nights. You're likely going to work weekends. However, there will be a turning point. And I do believe that you should hustle and you should work your ass off and you should have those sleepless nights and you should work those weekends. I believe to my core that when you're starting a business, you absolutely have to do those things. On the flip side, there will be a turning point, and you have to pay attention to when those turning points happen, because there is a point where you will not need to hustle, work weekends, and do all of those things anymore. And this is why I love James, and this is why I love Business by Design, because they teach you how to get to this point as quickly as you possibly can. And I think a lot of people stay in this hustle mode way too long. So when there's this transition period, which is when you start hiring, you start letting go, you start systemizing, and you start processing things. But there is a period of where I was able to master my craft. The people that have mastery over their craft are the ones with the best messaging. They are the ones with the best marketing. They are the ones with the best courses. They're the ones with the best programs. And they're usually the ones that can get the best results because they just understand things better and deeper than everyone else. They're discovering things that other people haven't discovered, which allows them to teach things that other people can't teach. So I didn't realize it at the time because I was just in survival mode, trying to keep the fulfillment going and develop the course and to do all of that stuff. But I was filming the course. I was writing the scripts for all the clients. I didn't outsource it. I did it myself. I created the programs. I wrote all the scripts for our clients. I did all the messaging calls with our clients. I worked with all the students. This was a very difficult time in my life. My relationship took a hit with my wife. We were not very connected during that moment. I saw my kids way less than I would have, liked to admit. But it was about a year long. And I had to work my butt off. Like there were nights where I remember crying at night because I just wanted to go home. And I was so overwhelmed with the amount of work that I had to do and the scripts that I had to write. But it allowed me to gain a deep mastery over my craft. I now know messaging better than anyone else because I literally wrote hundreds of scripts, because I literally did the messaging for our clients in multiple niches. I was working with the students and other business owners inside our coaching program. I was developing the actual course. I was doing all of it, and it was hard work. It eventually led to working less, but I was gaining a mastery over my craft. And I think so many people don't want to gain a mastery over their craft. They procrastinate. They don't put things out. They wait until something is perfect, even though there's never a perfect. They worry and overthink. No, go do the work. Go put in the work. Go put in the time. Stop waiting. Go put it out there, gain the mastery, gain the knowing. That will help you develop better marketing, better messaging. And the only reason why we're able to grow so fast is because I kept deepening the mastery of my craft. And every single person will tell you that is successful. They have a mastery over their craft. And I look at James Wedmore. He has a mastery over his craft. I look at it, sometimes I'll look at some of the posts that Dan Henry does because he's a very interesting character to me. But he says the same thing. I had to focus on a mastery over my craft, over the sales. You look at anyone, Grant Cardone, mastery over his craft. You look at Brene Brown. She has a mastery over her craft. She talked about how she would study relationships for 7 years before she ever put a course or a book together. 7 years. She was mastering her craft. And just getting more education, more certifications, taking more courses and never taking any action is not mastery. That's knowledge. You have to turn that knowledge into knowing. And there's a lot of people right now that have a lot of knowledge, but they have no skills, they have no experience, they have no mastery. I focused on mastery over that first year or two, and that mastery has led to millions and millions of dollars sold. Okay. So I do believe that you should hustle. I do believe you're going to have to work hard. I do believe that you want to master your craft. But there will become that turning point. This is the fourth and bonus item that I have for you. So just to recap, we have live the be, do, have model. Focus on very specific problems with a very unique solution. Number 3, focus on a mastery over your craft, because that will affect your messaging, that'll affect your service, that'll affect your course, that'll affect your program. But there will become a turning point where you don't have to work the weekends. You don't have to work those nights. You don't have to script every video for your client. You don't have to fulfill for your client. And this right here is when it comes down to systems, processes, and letting go. Instead of scripting every single client video myself, I then created a system and a process for how the scripts need to be done, a process for how to recognize when the scripts are not right, a philosophy around how we want to do our content, put our content out there. And we started to develop systems. And this is what Taylor came in to help with, is the operations of the company and developing the systems, developing the processes. She runs the day-to-day so that I can focus on content, our IP. I can focus on mastery. I can focus on new content. I can focus on our students, the things that I want to focus on. The problem is that a lot of people will put in the work, they'll put in the hustle, they'll work those nights, they'll work those weekends, they'll hire some people, and then they want to micromanage. They want everything to be absolutely perfect. I embrace the 70% perfect is perfect. If my team can get something to 70% where I want it to be, then great, let's move forward and let's move on. And a lot of people can't do that. So they continue working. They can continue being a victim or a prisoner of their own business. You have to be able to let go. You have to be able to systemize. You have to be able to delegate. You have to trust other people. But the stronger your systems and the stronger your processes, the more likely it is that you can free yourself from the business. And now what happens is the business becomes a machine. It becomes this thing that doesn't require you to be there in order to run. And that's the goal. If your business can run and grow without you having to be there, even in a personal brand, then that is the goal. That's what we want. And luckily I had James Wedmore of Business by Design. And this is why I love Business by Design, is because the way James created Business by Design, it literally gives you every system, every process to every single thing you're going to need inside of your business. Because developing the systems and processes are difficult, like not difficult, they're time consuming. But when you tap into Business by Design, they're all there. You want a webinar process and hire a VA to set up a webinar? Great. Hire the VA, send them to Business by Design. Give them the system and process. Every single system and process and documentation you need to run a business that can run without you is right there inside of Business by Design. And that's what we use to build out this system and this business. Right now, we have a multiple 7-figure business that doesn't require me to be here. My hours, I work generally 10 to 2 every day with 1 day a week off. Usually that's Thursdays. And that allows me enough time in space to figure out our content, to write copy, to work with our students, to have the silence, to have that alone time, to continue developing our programs and things like that. So that is basically the 3 things that we use to go from $40,000 in debt to 7 figures. Now, the reason why we wanted to share this is obviously you heard me talk about James. You heard me talk about Business by Design. I know he has some trainings coming up. We have some bonuses coming up. We have some trainings as well, because I want every single one of you to start building a business. Now, I don't care what level you're at, whether you're in debt like I was, you're at 0, you're at 100,000, at 200,000 or more a year. If you're not at the point where your business is growing and it doesn't require you in order to grow, then I know me, James, and his trainings can help. And James's training covers all of this stuff, including the bonuses and trainings that we're going to help you with. So we do have some links. We do have some ads that are about to pop up as I end this episode. So pay attention to the ad that you hear at the end of this podcast, because it's going to lead you to trainings that can help you accomplish all of this. And the one thing I want to leave you with is that I've used this multiple times. And I have been able to build 3 multi-million-dollar courses, a multi-million-dollar coaching program, a $600,000 a year agency, 4 6-figure and multiple 6-figure courses. We've been able to do 7-figure launches. I've helped market 7-figure launches for our clients, tons of 6-figure launches. And it all comes down to the things that we covered here today. And I want to help you master all of that. So with that being said, I'll see you guys on the next episode, but pay attention to the ad we're going to run right now, and I'll see you on the next episode. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested. And thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.